everyone. It's good to have you all on board. Turn the time with Tutor Ayo, the enthusiastic tutor. So sorry we are starting a bit late. It's a lot behind the scene, but here we are. Just have to do something. Just have to keep moving. All right. So today we've been talking about a series of great philosophers, great political philosophers and great political thinkers, that their work has so much influenced the history of political science. And we've talked about the likes of Plato, Aristotle, right, Socrates, and Montesquieu. And today we'll be talking about Thomas Hobbes. And we'll be dissecting his contribution, his views about social contract, about the state, about law, and his biography as well. This being said, let's all share into it. Okay, so we have POL215 and looking at, we studying the biography of Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes. Okay. Now, Thomas Hobbes, 1588 to 1679. To 1679. Okay, so we have, speaking of which, Hobbes was born in Westport. All right, he was born in Westport, a parish of town of Amesbury in Wiltshire, England. He is a native of England. His mother came from yeoman family. His father was a poorly educated vicar who seems to have left his parish in disgrace. Okay, deserting his family after having. All right, now let's take down these points. A native of England, born in Westport. Born in Westport. Okay, a parish of the town of Amesbury. A parish of the town I beg your pardon, Amesbury, like Amesbury, in Wiltshire. In Wiltshire. Okay? In which shrine? Not shrine. In Wiltshire. His mother came from the yeoman family. His mother came from the yeoman. Okay? Yeoman family. And his father was a poorly educated vicar. All right, his father, poorly educated vicar. Okay, now Hobbes' uncle subsequently supported the family um, from what the material is saying. His father left his family in disgrace. Therefore, his uncle subsequently supported the family, and it was he who paid for Hobbes' university education. All right, Hobbes' university education was catered for by his uncle. His name was not mentioned. Okay, so let's just see that as not necessary. All right, now Hobbes was lucky to receive good schooling locally, and he showed an early talent for classical languages. All right, Hobbes was lucky to receive good schooling locally, and he showed a early talent for what we call classical languages. In 1602, maybe 1603 as well, Hobbes began his study towards an arts degree at Magdalen Hall in Oxford. So let's take that down. In 1603 slash, okay, let's use 02 slash 1603, he began his study towards the arts degree. All right, so we have arts degree, arts degree at Mandala. All right, at Magdalen, okay, all in Oxford, at Mandalan Hall in Oxford. All right, so he began his art degree at Magdalen Hall in Oxford. Now, from his criticism of the university in his published writing, he disliked the scholasticism. All right, according to what we have here, from he wasn't confrontational about his dislikes, okay, but from his writings, his publications, it was made clear that Hobbes disliked the scholastic, all right, the that's the scholasticism of Oxford at that time. Scholasticism, in the sense that the fusion of Christian with ancient Greek thoughts, especially the thought of Aristotle, all right, which dominated the secular of the schools and university of Europe in the 16th and early 17th century. All right, and Hobbes did not like this so-called scholasticism. Okay, so let's take that down. He dislikes. Okay, let's not put it like that, because he wasn't confrontational about it, but from his writings, it was discovered that okay, from his criticism of the universities in the published writing, in his published in his published writings, all right, he expresses, all right, his dislike about what we call scholasticism. All right, scholasticism. Okay, just a moment. Clear. All right, he expressed his dislike about scholasticism, and as at this early 16th and 17th century, scholasticism is tied to the fusion of Christian and ancient Greek thoughts, all right, that was shown in the works of Aristotle. All right, so let's take that down. That's scholasticism. Scholasticism. Okay. which is the fusion of Christianity, with Greek, with Greek thought. Okay, the fusion of Christianity with Greek thought, and this was something in that happened in the earliest 16th and the 17th century. Okay, now Hobbes completed his degree in 1608. All right, completed his degree in 16. He completed his degree in 1608. Okay, now in 1628, Hobbes chose history as the medium for a political message. Now, later in his writing, like Leviathan, he thought science or philosophy was better vehicle. Now, look at what is going on here. In 1628, he chose history as a medium for a political message. But later on, he eventually chose science. He chose science and philosophy as a better option. Later in his writing, like Leviathan, he thought science or philosophy was the better vehicle. Okay, now let's take that down. Okay, he completed his degree in 1608. In 1628, he chose history. All right, he chose history as the medium, all right, for a political message. All right, and later eventually he settled for science or philosophy. Now, he struggled throughout his intellectual life. Right, let's take note of this. Hobbes struggled throughout his intellectual life with the problem of combining political rhetorics with political science. All right, Hobbes had issues with combining. Okay, he had struggles with combining political rhetorics and political science. Okay, now when we say political rhetorics, what are we talking about? We are simply talking about the process or an art of persuading, all right? The process of offering a persuasion or a persuasive speech, all right, that holds people to a common purpose. Okay, that's rhetorics in politics. Now, Hobbes' first political treatise, he says in the Element of Law in 1640. Okay, let's take that down. Okay, Hobbes' first political treatise, which was his first political treatise, all right, which was the element of law, the element of law was in 1640. I beg your pardon, 1640. And was not intended for publication, was what meant for some sort of, but basically his very first treaty, all right, was the element of law that was released in 1640. Now, Leviathan as well was Hobbes' writing. That's one of his works, and it was also released in the same 6040s. All right, that same time it was released in that 1640s. Now, he was active in several other fields, notably the field of geometry. All right, he was also very active in that field, and he showed a considerable acumen as a theorist of light. Okay, so he wasn't just a philosopher or a great political thinker. He was also, all right, he was known for his notable and good considerable acumen as a theorist of light. Now we have that as that. Now his contemporaries, definitely during those years, during his time, his contemporaries, especially in the continental Europe, all right, regarded him as a major intellectual figure. Hobbes was renowned, all right, he was properly acknowledged. He was known as a great philosopher and a political thinker in his time, especially in the continental Europe. Now, yet he did not earn a living as a scientist, all right, or as a writer on politics. Okay, even as the fact that he was well known and acknowledged as a scientist and a great political writer, he did not earn a living from it. Okay, now the behavior, according to what we have here, Hobbes had about 3 political treatises he wrote. All right, we've mentioned one already. All right, there are about 3 of them. The element of law and Leviathan was released in the 1960s, was released in the 1640s. Element of law and Leviathan was released in the same year. Okay, and the third one, so we made mention of this one already. So let's add Leviathan. That's Leviathan. All right, and we have the third one, which is the self. All right, these are his 3 treatises. All right, 3 first treatises. All right, he had the element of law, he had the Leviathan, and he had the self. Now let's talk about Hobbes' political philosophy. All right, we've been talking about his biography. Now let's talk a little bit about his political philosophy. What he sees politics as. All right, his acts, his view, what he thinks about politics. Now, very quickly, Hobbes was one of the social contract theorists that explained the nature of public power as a special kind of institution. So let's first take note of the fact that he is a social contract theorist. All right, Hobbes is a social contrast theorist. Hobbes is a social contrast theorist. Okay, that explained the nature of public power as a kind of institution. We'll get to understand this better. Now, it is one of, all right, definitely it happens to be most of his work still are still relevant even in the modern political theories. Most of his work, that is certain. Now, however, his political theory is set to achieve at least two purposes. His political theories is set to achieve at least two purposes. His political theories is said to achieve at least two purposes. Now let's see what the purposes are. Okay, one is to explain the origin of the state, and the other is to justify absolute and unlimited power of government. Okay, he spoke at length a lot about the origin of the state, and also the absolute and unlimited power of the government. Absolute power of the government. That's okay. So his political theories is all. If you look at everything he has ever contributed, everything he has ever said, his work and everything circles around this. All right, origin of the state and the absolute power of government. All this will properly dissect as we continue. Now, Hobbes uses the state of nature as a device to demonstrate the necessity of political society. Now, let me explain that. Hobbes uses the state of nature as a device to demonstrate the necessity, the importance of political society. Now, these are two different things. We have in this compound sentence, all right? Compound sentence, we have two main points we need to develop upon. It says here the state of nature and political society. In a nutshell, although as we continue we'll talk more on this, but in a nutshell, let's keep this, let's write this somewhere. We have state of nature and political society. Political society. Now, we're going to be talking about what it means by the state of nature. And we're going to be talking about what it means by political society. Let's just keep that aside. Now, by the definition of the state of nature, according to Thomas Hobbes, by the definition of the state of nature, Hobbes concluded that human beings cannot live together in peace or avoid civil conflict without government intervention. And that will lead us to another point. All right, that's state of nature. Okay, according to him, he said humans cannot live. Okay, humans cannot live together in peace or avoid civil conflicts without the government intervention. Meaning that, in a state, the government is seen as authority figure. Okay, why do we have laws? Why do we have the constitution? All these are encapsulated in the government. Now, let's not forget, government is not permanent. That's one of the features of the state and one of the features of government. Government is not permanent. Government comes and go, but the state is permanent. So if there is no state, there is no government. All right, we only have government because we have a state. Now, if it, according to him, now he said that if you remove political society out of the picture, then what we'll have will be a group of blood drinking beasts, or a group of people that are selfish and particular and concerned about what they want without caring about the other person. There will be war, all right? There will be conflicts, consistent conflicts. Okay, the only reason why we are not having back, even at that, there are still conflict in some part of the countries. All right, but the only reason why this is not much is because there is this thing that we refer to as the government. All right, and if you misbehave, government will deal with you. If you want to cause nuisance in the society, or if you tend to become difficult, there is, my goodness, just a moment. Okay. Yeah, my goodness, just a moment. Let's fix this together. Okay. I think I need to. Okay, I think we can manage this. We're almost done with the class already. Just a little more to go, and call it a wrap for today. So as I was saying, according to Hobbes, said that if we remove government in a state, then what we are going to have will be consistent conflict. All right, what we are going to get will be function. All right, so from what we have here, just a moment. Okay, where's mine? Now, by the definition that Hobbes gave, he concluded that human beings cannot live together in peace, or avoid civil conflict without government intervention. Now, he believed that without government, everyone is selfish or living in the state of nature. Now, this state of nature, we're going to emphasize on that very quickly. We're going to expatiate that very quickly. Now, he said, by showing the pre-political condition in an intolerable state of permanent conflict, he hoped to demonstrate the necessities of specific kind of political societies, namely which is governed by undivided absolute sovereign. All right, that picture or that image of a power that is greater even amongst human is what keeps everybody in line. Now let's continue. Now he argues that the worst that can happen to a man is the reversal to the state of nature. And what is this state of nature? Please let's take note of the, okay, is here already, the state of nature. So now according to him, he said the worst that can happen is the reversal to the state of nature. Now Hobbes believe in absolutism, but his idea of absolutism was different. I want us to, before we talk about this, I want us to expatiate very quickly on that state of nature. Okay, where is my, I think I have it somewhere. Now, look at what he says here about the state of nature. Now, look at what he says. He says, man, according to Hobbes, seeks power for security and self-preservation. And men are bound to conflict since they are individualistic in their selfish quest to acquire power, all right, and scarce material bounties of nature than the other. Now, according to Hobbes, he believed that men live without common power to keep them in awe. Now, according to what Hobbes is saying here, Hobbes says that the state of nature is that time, all right, whereby you can do anything you like because there is no government. We are talking about primordial time. The state of nature is that time whereby there was nothing like government, all right? You live by what you think is fair. If you just wake up today and decide to kill anybody, all right, if you are not being killed before you kill another person, all right, or you can even kill and nobody can challenge you because you seem to be the strongest, all right, this is a time whereby men were characterized as beasts. This is a time whereby men are seen as selfish, all right? They don't think about any other person. You can even see a man killing another man just for breakfast. This is the state of nature. And according to what Hobbes is saying here, he said that the worst thing that can ever happen to the race, all right, humanity, is to return back to that state where there is no government, all right? So this is what Hobbes sees, and then he now made the conclusion that if not for government, then this would have been the state. Even for the fact that there is still government, we still hear rumors of wars, and we see terrorists here and there. So you can just imagine, if there was no government, if there was no defense system, what would have been the case? Now, this is Hobbes' argument about political science. I think that is that on. So now, the political society now is a society that has that sovereignty, that thing called government, whereby as a citizen, you are expected to respect the law. And in return, government will protect you. Government will protect you from external attacks and even internal attacks. And government, as a citizen, definitely you have your, all right, you have certain rights. Government will protect and provide this right just because you have submitted to the sovereignty of government. So it is a two-way thing. You obey the constitution, and in turn, government protect and provide your rights. All right. So that is that on that. And lastly, about social contract and absolute government. Hobbes is renowned social contract theorist not only because of the efficacy of his thought, all right, but because of the Civil War in 1640. Don't forget, it's in the same 1640 that he released this Leviathan. All right, he was of the view that states should be seen as contracts. All right, he was of the view that states should be seen as a contract between a group of people to guarantee their mutual security and prosperity. This was what I was talking about. All right, the state now that Hobbes is saying, he said is nothing but a contract. Contract in the sense that I will submit to the constitution only if the government will protect me and guide and provide my rights. All right, guide and protect. Now, according to us, it says that man desire. Okay, I think we've taken that. So now it says that the most powerful government is the best which can keep peace and prevent the state of war all against all. All right. So it's a contract between the citizens and the government. Okay, I think on that we'll touch on the criticism. Okay, so now one of the critics, every of them have their critics. So according to what Hobbes said, one of the things he was criticized for was the fact that he said something about law. He said law has nothing to do with God. All right. He never believed in the natural law, and he said law is nothing more than the cooperation or agreement between group of people in order to have things sorted out. Now, he said here that shortly after Hobbes' writing appeared, the theologically minded critics attacked Hobbes, eliminating God, all right, the God role in mandating morality. Now, Hobbes never believed that God is involved in order not to have war or civil disobedience. What Hobbes believes is that the reason why we are not having civil disobedience or we are not having war is because this same group of people has agreed to submit to the government. So he sees government as supreme authority, not God. So because of that, he was criticized for removing the God role factor or removing the God factor in his writings. All right. So we have that as that. And in our next class, we'll be talking about Jeremy Bentham. All right. So thank you very much, everyone. It's a very voluminous material, I must confess, but we are gradually getting there. I think we have passed half the material now. We've gone far. I think in like two more classes max, we should be done with this course. So thank you very much, everyone. I believe you've been able to gain a thing or two into this class. Please let's do well to submit our notes to the appropriate quarters and let's keep up the good job. I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials. Bye bye.